This will be part one in a multi-part series where I want to document the idea, it's a concept that I have, of propagating hardwood cuttings with bottom heat using compost for the heat. It's something I trialed a number of years ago with really low success, but it's because I took my cuttings and stuck them directly in hot compost and they cooked. Who'd have figured? So anyway, I won't try that again. But as you may have noticed if you watch the videos regularly, one of the last videos, a nice popular one, was what to do with all this excess compost. And so this is a design that I think will be able to take this excess material that's being generated, and my thought is in this area, insulate and block off roughly, let's say 8 by 10 foot area, and lay in 2 to 3 feet of compost to break down, pack it really, really tight, and then be able to put containers with a nice light soil mix on top and put my hardwood cuttings in that, so that the heat comes up from the bottom but that the cuttings are not directly in the compost. This way the compost can keep cooking down. I can extract a yield, obtain a yield from that process, and hopefully be able to get the advantage of heat from the bottom to help propagate plants without electricity. Sorry, the rooster over there is yelling. So this is the area I want to do this in, and I'd say stick with me on this. I'm going to do a couple videos, but for now I'm going to do my first pass of just getting a rough sketch put together. And part of the idea as well is, now that we're coming into a thaw, I'd like to come through and clean up the yard a bit and mulch it down and kind of organize things. So I'm going to chip away at that a little. Some of you may be wondering why I would be interested in creating bottom heat for propagation when I already last year set up a system that worked just fine in our garage that I could plug in and use electricity. I actually got great results with that. I rooted a tremendous number of plants. Well, it's good to know that I can fall back on that, and I will if I have to, but I feel like if I'm going to be generating these systems that are yielding a tremendous amount of compost and other raw ingredients, ethically I feel like I should be trying to crack the code on how to do more of these things with the resources that are being generated by the system. Part of the idea with permaculture is to be using resources that are on site and valuing the marginal, obtaining a yield. There's all sorts of wonderful principles that I try to follow, and I think this is a great opportunity to put my money where my mouth is. It's kind of a weird way to say it, but of actually committing some energy into what could be productive or may not work. If it doesn't work, I got great exercise for a little while. Our chickens are still being fed, and it will still be compost at the end of the day, so very much worth my while regardless. So that's part of the design behind all this. I think I'll pause here. Very rough sketch for sure, but we've got it framed out with the hay bales that'll help contain the material as well as insulate it from the sides, with some loose hay on that side where those two hens are. And rather than spreading it all out and compacting it and this and that, part of the whole idea will be the chickens will do that for me and they can get some enjoyment out of it. To me it's work, to them it's pleasure, so why not? So I'm going to let that rest for a day or two. A lot of ice and snow in there, so I'll have to give it a few days and then temp probe it throughout and see what it gets to. But there's a lot of real hot compost folded in and a lot of raw ingredients to cook, so we'll leave it there for now and then revisit this once we know it's cooking and get on to the next phase of actually figuring out the containers, the potting mix, and the cuttings, and seeing if we can't promote some rooting without any fossil fuels.